216-578-1007 to join us live. 800-348-1007. Text me if you like. 35192. Everybody blowing me up Lawson's before Circle K or before Dairy Mart or whatever. And if you are watching the show at alancoxshow.com, thank you. Who's assisting today? Dave Brecky. Is that because we have beer for breakfast?
No, Dave Brecky is a silent performance artist that sells out the Candlelight Theater on a regular basis, but every time he talks, he has to pay the audience.
Mm-hmm.
So he's actually not making a lot of money, so he's doing this as like a side gig to help with the audience that he has to pay because they keep getting him to talk.
Wait, he's at the Candlelight Theater in Delaware? Is he in town from which Candlelight Theater?
The one.
The one? The one in Delaware?
Sure.
He's in. I didn't know people that were now traveling to help us with the video department.
Remotely. So.
Wow, this has become a real destination gig. A one-day gig in the video department of this program. All right. And he has to pay the audience, you say?
Yeah, if they get him to talk.
Uh-huh. What's his act?
He tells stories. He's a silent storyteller.
He's a mime.
Then not a mime. It's more based in like the Charlie Chaplin-esque performances where he likes to he likes old things.
More of a vaudevillian vibe.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
So he'll do these stories, and then as he's telling them, if it's become this trend where people will show up and yell at him to try and get him to talk because of the part of the act where every time he talks, he gives the audience money.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you, this is someone you've discovered?
Yeah. I just found out about him yesterday.
Uh-huh.
It's good stuff.
You're the only one I've never seen. Anybody else has seen this guy? Everybody following along?
There's plenty of people that have seen him, but it's not for everyone. Not everyone loves it.
It definitely sounds like an acquired taste.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a new episode of the Poundcake podcast, by the way? I know we were talking about this with some regularity because it was back after a long hiatus. Has that come to fruition?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Yep, Poundcake and Fancy's Prideful Return, episode 117.
Now, ironic. Now, how long is the episode?
Like 45 minutes.
45 minutes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully people will enjoy it, and it's available now on the iHeartRadio app.
Mm-hmm.
I assume.
Yes, I would hope so.
Right? I would hope so, too. I don't know.
That would be funny. Like,
I mean, if Intense Randy's on there, you better be on there.
But that would be funnier if I wasn't. Like, Intense Randy is on there. Poundcake podcast? No, you have to go to another streaming platform.
Right. You can't listen to it here. It'll be there tomorrow for Pride Month. Very exciting. All right, well, congratulations. We'll have a new Poundcake or Poundcake Sports Break later on. And then you can avail yourself of his return to the podcasting space. See, he's smart because he named his podcast after himself. There are a lot of people that are finding themselves in trouble because they didn't do that. I was reading about these two girls who, hold on to your coats, do an Oprah podcast. And the podcast is called Oprah-demics, and it's two girls whose podcast is talking about episodes of the Oprah Winfrey Show, a show that has not been on television in quite some time. And she sued them. Oprah's company sued the... Well, they're using her name.
But
that's her trademark.
There's a reason I called it Flixin' Bill and not Netflixin' Bill.
That's right.
I understand, but it seems like they're punching down. Like, how big is an Oprah podcast really gonna be?
Well, how many people?
But if they're making money off, because if people start listening to it thinking it is officially sanctioned by Oprah, that's a problem for Oprah.
Also, Oprah has more money than God, so everything is punching down. How many people are you supposed to let use your name?
They just should name it.
If somebody else started up the Poundcake podcast, now obviously you don't have the name trademarked or anything like that, but you know Harpo, which is Oprah Winfrey's company,
could be Billy Harpo.
Billy Harpo.
It could be Billy Harpo.
No, but her company owns her trademarks.
I get it.
Yeah, so they sued these two girls, and they settled out of court. And now the show will be renamed You Get a Podcast, which is kind of more in line with reality since everybody does. So, but Harpo Inc. sued these two girls.
The big Oprah podcast.
It's still got Oprah in it.
OHHHH, and then dash Oprah.
You didn't hear all those H's, Bill?
I didn't hear
when
all
he
those
said it?
H's. But
There's ways to avoid every trademark.
Right?
yeah, but when you are Oprah, there's ways to get anything you want taken down.
Okay.
And by the way, you're using her name in the first place to get ears on your show.
Right.
If it was the Kelly and Leah show, people would go like, what? You call it Oprah-demics. I mean, first of all, they're doing a show about old Oprah episodes. So you're like, these are two bored ladies. But then you got to call it something else.
Good publicity, though.
To be sued by Oprah?
Yes, because then they're like, our show was so effective, it got the attention of Oprah.
Yeah, but getting someone's attention because you're using their name is not the same as having effective content, is my point. Now, I've never heard this show. It might be amazing. And if you're a longtime Oprah Winfrey fan, it might be right up your alley. But who knows?
So if they had say if someone else made a podcast called the Tom Brady Fan Club Podcast, he can then sue because it's his name. But you're saying
I mean, if he owns all of his trademarks, which I assume Tom Brady does.
Absolutely. He
does. Yeah. I think he could. No, I don't know that everybody would.
I say it's just so.
It's still a choice to sue or not. But it seems to me better to not have the name of your show with someone else's name. I don't even know why you would do that. Well, of course I know why you do that with Oprah, but if the Poundcake podcast comes out and it's not hosted, or at least affiliated with, one Cody Allen Helpful Poundcake Brown, I want nothing to do with it.
I was gonna say,
I will feel fooled as a listener if I turn that on and I hear some other dummy talking about something. I don't know.
I mean, I could have been sued by Van Halen. I could have been sued by Drake. They all came out with songs about pound cake before I was. Well, I don't know if.
Well,
Drake
but
did.
it's also a food item. They can't. They can't. It's a nickname, and they can't trademark that. But it's called Poundcake Podcast, right?
Correct.
Because it's your take. And so Poundcake once again proves himself to be smarter than all of us. Because what did I tell you initially? That's a silly name. Just call it the Poundcake Podcast. But you knew.
Of course I did.
You knew where I had taken my eye off the ball.
Actually, Stripper Scott named it, didn't he? I thought he was the one who called in and said to name it the Poundcake Podcast.
I don't remember who.
You could be right. I don't recall that. But nevertheless, fine. Then let's say that's true.
So
Stripper Scott was looking up.
knows more than any of it.
Right. I wonder if he's got a podcast. It could be on the iHeart Podcast Network, along with this show and Intense Randy. A lot of people are getting me hip because we just kind of as an aside yesterday, or stumbled into, as we often do, a conversation about graduation pranks because those kids are looking at felonies now because of the fart spray. And so everybody started blowing me up with their high school pranks. Brittany says, high school in North Jackson, Ohio, we released chickens in the gym. This is one that I heard a lot, was people releasing chickens. You know, I think a lot of these cow towns, they also have chickens. And one school, somebody was kind of regaling me with the tale of them doing it, except the trouble is in the ensuing panic or whatever, so many people crushed so many chickens that a lot of people got in trouble. Because there's no way that you can control that chaos. Somebody brought a goat into the principal's office, Brittany says. Put it for sale sign in front of the school. That's an old classic.
And it's simple.
Simple. The seniors blocked the parking lot so no one else could park. Wouldn't you just drive through the grass to get your car out?
What if there's a fence or something?
I wonder how old Brittany is, because a lot of these water balloons filled with warm water instead of cold water.
Oh, goodness.
Right there. You don't want that.
Hey, gang, talking about the senior pranks, I graduated high school in 94. When I was a freshman in 90, 91, somewhere in there, that senior class did probably the best prank, put crickets in the library, hundreds of crickets in the library. My class just did a tent sleepover in the front of the lawn, and we smoked weed all day, all night long as a cookout, or whatever. All right, bye.
Crickets in the, and they just smoke pot in a tent on the lawn.
Big prank.
Right. Wouldn't you also get arrested possibly back then? I mean, he's
It was
like a
the
year younger than
70s.
me. No, early
No, I'm
90s.
joking.
The 70s. Hey, man.
We're all smoking weed.
Yeah, we all live in a tent. We're smoking weed.
A 10, we're smoking weed.
Well, listen, updated for the 21st century, though, about putting a for sale sign in front of the school. Some high school students in Maryland put their high school on Zillow.
Hell yeah. Love that.
356,000 square feet property in Maryland, complete with a nice spacious kitchen and dining room, private basketball court, and a private study, went on sale for an unbelievable $42,000. I mean, that's
a
like
steal.
buying a house in Cleveland. That's amazing. That's 12 cents a square foot. It's a steal. And in today's market, boy, you had to have more than a few people show up and go, I've been looking for a private basketball court and a private study.
I would snatch that place up.
They described the property as a nice half-working jail that was built in 1792. So they took their liberties once people got into the initial, because you need the eye catcher. You see the money, you go, oh, my God. But then you dig into it, and they noted that all 15 bathrooms come with sewage issues. So that's fun, too. Because you'll watch some of those house hunter shows, and they'll have people who have, even locally, some people have done this, a lot of people like buy an old church, and they'll rehab it. Any church that's decommissioned and not turned into a brewery is usually purchased for pennies on the dollar. And then because, the internal architecture is kind of weird, not necessarily conducive to a living arrangement, but when you see people that have redone churches to live in, it's amazing. It's fantastic. People in Tremont who retrofitted an old firehouse many years ago. Looks great. So here's somebody, they come along and they go, hey, look at this school. Meade High School. And boy, these senior pranksters got there on Zillow. And I guess the school kind of laughed it off. They didn't have a problem with it. Because as soon as people start walking up, I'll give you $42,000. I'll give you over market value for this half-working jail.
Start a bidding war.
That turns out to be
On campus.
a prison. Right.
My buddy's mom, we were at a Memorial Day cookout, and she was saying how she listed her house recently. And I was like, I got $5,000. I'll give it to you right now, cash. And she was like, absolutely not. Like, you are out of your mind. I was like, are you sure? She goes, yes, it's listed for $500,000. I was like, and $5,000 isn't enough.
How about if I take a couple of zeros off that?
Right.
Yeah. $5,000
give it to you.
cash.
I can get it to you
where's
now.
the house at?
North Olmsted, I think, or Olmsted Falls, something like that.
Well, those are
Damn, that's a cold ass honky.
two very different townships.
Or maybe that's where she's moving and the house is in Berea. I have no idea.
All right. So you were rebuffed with extreme prejudice when you floated your $5,000 cash idea.
Well, maybe.
What
I
if she
need
had
to-
taken you up on it?
I would own a house. I'm telling you, man, that's
You
how
would
I'm
have
gonna
given her
end up with.
$5,000 and you would have taken her house.
100. If she said yes and was dead serious about it, yeah, I'd have gone to the bank. Well, it was Memorial Day, so the next day I would have gone to the bank, taken out $5,000, and bought a house.
Yeah. But then you'd be house poor.
How?
Do you have $20,000 that's lying around? I mean, you got to
No.
fill it with stuff.
No.
Big
but-
house, right? Probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, I'll throw in an extra $1,000 if she keeps all her stuff there.
Oh, now can it be furnished?
Right.
I know you're moving, and you don't need more than $1,000 to get all new stuff, right?
No, you don't need
$500,000
a couch. What are you
house.
talking
I mean,
about? Who
trouble
needs a bed?
Well, and a $500,000 house these days isn't even that big, so
No.
that's the trouble.
But yeah, maybe I'll put a bid in on this high school. I'll show up and be like, guys, $3,000 cash. What do you think?
Yeah. Hey, Brett,
Hey, Alan, what's up?
what's going on, man?
Nothing much. I just called to tell you about a senior prank that the seniors before me pulled when I was like a sophomore in high school.
What year would this have been?
It's 2014.
Okay.
So I was, do you guys, does anybody remember, like, okay, so the first part of it was they literally took Vaseline, put it all over the underclassmen's locker handles and the locker locks, and then they saran wrapped all the lockers with saran wrap.
Mm-hmm. It's a
And then fast forward
variation on the Vaseline on the rails from my high school.
Correct. So what they ended up doing, when then they fast forward like 2 months, there was my high school was separated. There was an upstairs, there was the underclassmen, and then downstairs was the upperclassmen. So the upstairs was freshmen and sophomores. The seniors took, like, not Dixie cups, but like the medium-sized paper cups, filled them about 3/4 full of water, and then lined the whole hallway with it.
I guess my question is always, who is the prankee? We know who the pranker is. The prankee are the facilities managers, like the custodians.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are like, God, they must hate. Senior ditch day should be for the janitors at every school.
Dude.
They're the ones that clean it up.
The custodians, though, like the one, he was laughing so hard because, like, kids were running down the hallway, and I'm telling you, there was like a half-inch of water running down this whole entire hallway of like 50 yards. There was water everywhere, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess water's one thing because he could get out there with a wet vac and figure that out, but like Vaseline on surfaces and things, I mean, it's not like you can just
forever.
You can't just wipe Vaseline off, you know? I mean, trust me,
Oh, yeah,
I
it was
tried it with
terrible.
most of my exes.
It was terrible. I didn't touch my locker for like a week, and I didn't care because I'm like, Bill, I'm not a paperwork guy.
Right, not a paperwork guy or a saran wrap guy, for that
No,
matter.
I didn't care. Fuck that. Oh, sorry.
Right.
Classic. Us paperwork guys, non-paperwork guys. Yeah, we sometimes say things like that.
Now he's pranking me.
Yeah.
What did I do? He's trying to be on your side. Yeah, the custodians. I mean, holy Christ. I can't believe those guys aren't shooting up schools at the end of the school year. They're like, Vaseline again? Jeez, I'm out of here.
My uncle was a school custodian. He was just an alcoholic. So that's one way to do it.
He just, was that a pre-existing condition or he did it because of the job? Yeah.
I knew him
So he had
as
access to
both-
like really good turpentine.
Yes.
Comes
I
in
knew
handy.
paint thinner.
Mm-hmm.
I knew him as both a custodian and my drunk uncle my whole